Let me make sure this sound is turned off. All right, what's up? Good evening, everybody. Give me just 1 second. We're gonna go ahead and get the stream up and running on TikTok, and then we're gonna go ahead and go from there. So hopefully you guys had a good day. Definitely was as predicted, a bit range bound and choppy for the Monday, staying tightly in range. Most stocks did. All right, 1 second. All right, there we go. All right, and let me go ahead and run this back, and we'll be ready to go. Go ahead and recap here. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get to it. Let me pull this up. All right, there we go. Good evening. What's up, Chef Noir? What's up, Johnny? Yeah, if you guys are early, you guys know the deal. Drop those requests. First comes, first serve. So. All right. All right, so I'm gonna try to remember to keep that centered. Okay, so I think that's about it. Now let's hit that live. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and recap on today's movement, and of course we're gonna look into tomorrow. And we got big data coming in, and I'm gonna bring up a couple of points here going into tomorrow that we should definitely consider. I think I hit something. All right, so close above 50. Yeah, we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit the news here. So just to recap on today, we saw the S&P up 1.06%. We saw the Nasdaq up 1.23%. We saw the Russell up 1.23%, or 23%, and the Dow Jones up 0.71%. So a couple of headlines here, and then we'll get into tomorrow's data, which I'll bring that up now so you guys can take a look at the calendar. If you guys are on TikTok, remember I'm on YouTube. That is, if you guys have any questions, if you guys have requests, it's first come, first serve on the YouTube channel. So if you guys have those requests, get them in now rather than wait until the end of this. So I will go in chronological order. So if you guys are in the Discord, or excuse me, not in the Discord, but in the YouTube or TikTok, you guys can hit the link in the bio. So a couple of things here. Wells Fargo shares were up marginally despite the bank agreeing to pay $145 million to settle a probe into its 401k plan business. Goldman Sachs is bringing back the industry tradition of annual employee calls. The deal volume collapses and plans to lay off hundreds of employees this month. While those sticking around will find that pandemic era perks like free coffee are also no more. A couple things. Joe Biden is considering broader curbs in U.S. chip and tool exports as the economic standoff while with China continues, and the U.S. Justice Department is launching several short-selling probes as it suspects trading on the insider information of several stocks. All right. So other than that, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that, and we'll get to your guys' request. If you guys are on TikTok, if you guys are on YouTube, I'm gonna do a little bit differently tonight. So I'm gonna take request first, and then I want to spend some time breaking down some of the price action and really focus on what the impact of tomorrow may be. Because the price action we can look is spring loaded. And if the price moves as expected off of CPI in the morning, I have a feeling that we're going to see a pretty profitable day. So, VIX was up today, hedging on the CPI numbers. Hey, what's up, Danny? I got your message, man. I'll get with you as well. So, so couple of things here, and we need to turn our charts over to Tesla. All right, so tomorrow, as we just discussed, we've got core CPI month over month, core CPI or CPI and core CPI month over month. Those are coming in at 8:30. We've got the 30-year bond auctions that's coming in at 1 p.m. We have federal budget balance coming at 2, and then Wednesday we have another set of data with the PPI month over month and core PPI month over month. So for CPI, this is also tracking last month's, right? So that being said, if we can get above that number, that projected number, I do think that we could see further upside from Tesla and potentially move out of these really bullish setups here and finally go and hit our resistances. So you're looking for blood or boost. We'll talk about it in just a moment. So other than that, right, CPI is tomorrow morning. We'll look, and I do expect a bit of a move off of that. But if you guys have requests here on TikTok, please go to the YouTube channel, drop those requests, and I'll take those as they come. So looks like we got 17 people here. Why is my screen all red? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Those of you on YouTube, hold on one second. Okay, so this is perfect anyway. Yes. So a couple of notes, right, that we got is quad witching this week. Aside from that CPI, so just trying to paint a picture here. But today, if you guys traded Meta with me, and I'm just going to briefly recap this, and then we're going to look at Meta and look because there is a up trade and there's a down trade, and there is plenty of money to be made on both of those. And so I want to paint a clear picture of where this is at. So I'll go a little bit more in depth and teach you guys a little bit of how I'm going to basically trade this tomorrow. So if you guys are on TikTok, make sure to hit the like button. And same thing for the YouTube if you guys don't mind. Yeah, I fixed the chart. Excuse me. So today, Meta, we were tracking this downtrend. It ended up hitting my mark. I think yesterday we ended up seeing that retracement back up to 171. And then I did enter a upside position, very small, looking to take Meta to the upside. We held green. And then what we did is because we saw selling pressure here and we were up against resistance, I ended up taking a hedge against this using weekly contracts, which is the benefit of going long, and ended up setting a tight stop loss, cutting at that stop loss, and then we ended up actually a lot of those contracts went close to 100%. But for Meta tomorrow, and I'll elaborate further on this, but essentially above 170, 150. I'm probably going to take a long position looking at the 174 gap fill and possibly even the 180 gap fill as well. So what is expected for this week? We'll take a look. So if you guys have requests, though, those of you on TikTok, make sure to tap your screen. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go over Tesla really quickly, and I'll chart it a little bit more in depth for those of you guys who are curious or are still watching it tomorrow. So for Tesla, pretty simple. We're up here at the top. We do have a bottom trend line that we could end up pulling back to. This one closed with this triangle. Pretty interesting little setup here. So what I want to talk about while I pause on Tesla is something that catches traders off guard a lot. And that's basically what you saw today. So you see a high here, you see a rejection there, and you see this build, right? A lot of people take that trade at that break here, and then they get chopped to bits, right? And here we just end up collecting premium. And of course, those candles close. And we've been talking about the importance of candles closing. Um, Especially on the time frame that you are trading on. So if it's the 15-minute or charting on, excuse me. So if it's the 15-minute, you want to look at where that consolidation of data is at. And so underneath us, we've got 304, and above us, we've got 304.65. And so we have a tight little range. And then right here, the top of that zone is 305.20. So that's Tesla for you guys. And really, if you're looking out on the daily, just to further elaborate here, if you're looking on the daily, 4-hour close was a little bit poopy, not the worst, did hold that high. But if we do end up seeing a move to the upside, of course, the only target that I could possibly see is, and we do have a gap to the downside that we could go and pull back and retest, but is a pullback and then a bounce up into the 312 and 315 area for Tesla. So the link is in my bio for YouTube. So, and you guys can go ahead and drop your requests. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and focus on those. So, all right, let's see here. All right. So the first one that we got is EQT. Somebody who asked me about this one. Did somebody asked me about it? Was it you, Johnny, who asked me about EQT? He bought some calls. I believe that we talked about this one going and retesting that broken trend, and or even expanding on it. But what we could do here to further, right? Because this is the third trip up to resistance, right? Yeah, Johnny, that was you. Okay, so for EQT, let's see here, bottom support. This is where we get the majority of those candles closing. So a lot of the times, we can't, we have to kind of take things with a grain of salt as far as, yes, this is a broken trend, but it also has that relatively bullish setup. So I'm just going to throw this out there. You already have the areas in which you need to break, but most importantly, right? So taking and getting rid of this trend line, pay attention to where all of these candles close, right? I'll take a look at it. If you guys have any requests, please go to the YouTube channel. That's going to be the best place. Um, I'll look at Spy in just a second here for you guys. Just drop those requests. Okay. So anyway, all of the candles close underneath that 49 or $50 area. Okay. This is the first candle that we see closing above it. So that could make all of the difference. And of course, you see there's a bit of sellers sitting up here at 51.50. So ultimately, right, from this break or push up out of EQT, I like to stick with my daily pivots. This is the next psychological number of 53. I don't remember if this one was at all-time highs. No, it's not. And the next, so right here, you're at 50. This is $51. The next level that I see is 53.70. Let me double check myself there. $53. So $53, and then 54.60. Excuse me, 55. So $55 would be the next target if I was looking at EQT to the upside, any further than what it's got. And so far, daily candles, closing, it looks like the floor below you is below $45 and 50 cents. So Trevor Rush, listen, like everybody else, I get it. You don't understand what's going on here, but I do this in front of God and everybody live, and yeah, I've proven my point. So, um, I get it. You don't get it, but that's your fault, not mine. So EQT looks pretty decent. So Netflix, actually watching Netflix tomorrow. So this one. And of course, my charts are all shredded to pieces because TradingView is kind of a trash can animal. I'm going to just delete everything. How about that? All right, so tracking Netflix today. This one did get pulled underneath, and what again? Candle closes for me are relatively important. So let's actually, and I was just checking to see if this channel was still valid. It looks like it is not. That bottom trend still stands, but okay, so you still have a valid bottom trend right here. It's definitely holding still. So if Netflix pulls back, that's immediately where I would be looking for levels that fall in confluence. So let's look at Netflix. So Netflix to the downside, 232 would be one of the first levels if you were to fall tomorrow and pull back. That one looks pretty fishy. Um, yeah, I'll check. Hold on one second. Okay, so for Netflix right here, we want to go ahead and zone it out to the upside, right? So what we see here on the hourly candles, or on the hourly, is that most of this is not able to close. Tomorrow, you need to gap up above 237.71, and you need to be able to bounce and gap fill and hold a hourly candle on top of 236.60. That would be the goal. Then from there, Netflix has a gap to the upside that I would be looking at 245. So above that wick at 239 and 240, I'd be looking for Netflix to move up and out of that zone and into this area. And of course, that gap is also right there at that 50% mark for Netflix. So pretty simple here. How much of this matters is the CPI though that counts tomorrow? None of this matters at the CPI uh I mean that's really silly to say, dude. What we do is we create, right, or find areas where buyers or sellers at. And actually what you're saying is respectfully very foolish because it matters very much. Because if you don't focus just on the trend, but you focus on the mechanics behind the trade, then you'll find that it is absolutely one of those things where if we're coiled up or we see a lot of shorts pushing down and we get a small gap down and that gap fills very quickly because CPI didn't come in as bad as expected and is palpable for the market, that's absolutely reason to take that trade or watch that trade. So, yeah, kind of silly. It is on YouTube, yes. Yeah, respectfully, these are things that matter, and the reason that we want to set these levels and find these areas is because we don't want to get caught slipping. we don't want to get caught with, and I coached a lot of people through this today, on live and in some of the mentorships, where I was narrating the moves before they were happening. And I was just showing people that it doesn't matter how it's especially how those candles close, and the levels that they close on show where buyers and sellers are holding on to certain positions that could be, or possibly could be, liquidated. So that's what I want to see. So the next that we got is Fubo. I'll try and move through these relatively quickly. So we're going to go to the daily here on Fubo, because this thing is just a trash dump of a stock right now. I remember playing Fubo all the way up here, all the way into the 60s. Absolutely absurd that it went that high. And it has a gap way up there. Maybe one day it comes back. Might be a good time to accumulate. I don't know. Maybe not. Seems like it's still trash. Okay, so the first thing that I want to look for on Fubo, and again, I might actually go to the weekly here. All right, so first things first, we got to find what we got going on above us. So we already saw on Fubo's weekly. I mean, first of all, that is stupid bearish. The only thing that would possibly set that aside, or possibly move that, is some type of squeeze energy, and that would require a break into the $6.15 range. And if I'm not mistaken, you are currently sitting at Fubo's lows. So anywhere lower than this is probably going to have you down. I'm not going to call $1, but maybe around $1.50. As far as the weekly is concerned, we can go and look at trend, and it does appear, right, that Fubo has a massive falling wedge. Now, most of the time when we identify a falling wedge, and this is on the weekly, right, we want to measure from the top to the bottom for a 50% retracement, right? So 50%, I'm just going to eyeball that. That is way up there at 29.60. Now, given the setup and given the stock, right, it's important to check into the fundamentals. It's important to not take a position just because we think we see something. It can definitely not work out. But Fubo is definitely really, really low on the chart, and probably worth a quick excuse me, not DCA. I'm blanking on the word right now, but a brief scan over those fundamentals would probably be, what was your, I have no idea what I'm doing. Just keep doing it, and then it'll start to make sense. What is your question? I didn't see your question, my guy. What is your, I didn't see, yeah, I don't have a question on here. Remember, guys, I'm on YouTube, and if you have any requests, that's the best place to catch me. Best place, link is in the bio. All right. So anyway, Fubo above $8.11. The way that I would really be watching this one is, this is your floor, which is $3.60. So if I was buying right now, of course, you see there's a ceiling, which is the 435 mark. You have closed above it on the weekly. So I think it's pretty imperative that you finish the week above $4.45. And that could end up being a stop. For anybody looking to take Fubo long, but sketchy chart. All right, again, if you have requests, just hit the link in the bio. I'm moving down the charts right now. I'm going in chronological order. There's not that many requests. All right, so in C, ultimately, I think these companies are dog shit, but we'll chart it nonetheless. So, this ended up, that's a chart from long ago, but you know what's really cool is I didn't chart that. I charted that here, and the whole time it stayed in trend the entire time, which is pretty cool. Daily time frame. Let's take a look. That's some hot dog water, but could be accumulation. A lot of people probably looking at this like it's a massive bear flag. Again, given the climate of the world, Curious to see if any of that matters. So it looks like it's already kind of broken out. So what we want to do, right, is we want to see what's above us. That is ultimately most important. Today, you wicked off of 1513. Now let's go figure out what that is. So right there, right? So you see a lot of body candle closes there. We see a little wick. We see a candle close there. That's ultimately, going to be a ceiling above us. Now below us, and we'll zone that up here like so, right? And that's actually, there it is. Okay, cool. So we're gonna leave it at that. Um, so for NCLH, right? Or yeah, NCLH, you have closed a doji, right, on top of 1475, or with the bottom at 1475 and a close at 1480. So you did wick up. You ended up seeing a pretty significant push off of the floor, which was 1445. You have a gap below you as well. So ultimately, the same rules that apply to the upside apply to the downside. And so this is how I would essentially break this chart down, right? I would go here. I would find the bottom, right? And you could chop that into bits, of course, but we're going to look for. Perfect. Okay, so that's 1370. See a lot of price action around here, a lot of candle closes above that, a lot of wicks. That is the 50% mark here. So basically, right, and we'll go ahead and leave it at this, right? Candle close right here on NCLH. Sorry, right here, right? Candle close 1456. 1456, 1450, open 1450, right? This candle closes just right there around 1460, but this candle ends up closing above it. But because it's a doji, you can essentially take it both ways. So NCLH below that 1440, you're more than likely going to go for the gap fill and possibly even a retest of the 1425 level. From there, using the doji strategy, it's obviously the opposite. If you wick down and move back up to the upside, or just move to the upside, it would be above that 1515 mark. So drip. Oh my God, he's shorting oil. Um, Jesus, that's sketchy short. I don't see a top trend for this other than this lower time frame one here, which you end up skidding and turning and extending yourself right there. So I tell you what, man, you're sitting at your floor on drip. The floor seems to be 1316. So yeah, absolutely. You could end up seeing some further downside. And it looks like what was a wedge now has possibly just turned into a perfect channel, and drip could end up not dripping that far, but could end up falling from there. So yeah, it looks rough. You would need a reversal pretty quick. Push above 1785. The next one we got is Nike, and I'm trying to move as quickly as I can. Luckily, a lot of this is already charted, so we know the rules, right? What are the rules? From the highs, right? Now that was a wedge. Wedges do what? Wedges often extend themselves into channels. I'm actually going to go to the 4 hour here, and I'm going to go into extended hours because I know that this chart is not very clean. All right, so All right, so I can't find, so this is what I do, right? Can't find a top resistance. I go ahead and I use math, right? So math, that's beautiful. Look at the math. Look at the math. So here's the deal. We got a nice deviation channel here. Now we can go ahead and map out the ceilings above us. So Nike, right, has a nice little ceiling here. This is 1550. The bottom of that ceiling, or that bottom of that zone, is where we wicked off of here, right? And that is the 113.50. Okay, so there might be just another little tap up. You do have a rounded bottom, or excuse me, a rounded bottom, but you, well, yeah, you do have a rounded bottom here, lower time frame. So on the hourly and stuff like that, seeing a rounded bottom. But the same in the same breath, this also, man. So if you guys look right here, Nike has broken down out of what ultimately is a bearish pattern, right? And you broke and you're this is a possible retest. So Nike above 1450 and I would say 1565, and you could absolutely send it. But if you end up seeing a rejection and a pullback underneath, and I would say this is a solid level to watch, a pullback underneath 110 is going to be a straight drop into pivot, which is 108, and you could end up actually seeing new lows if we end up making a new high here. So no, Head and Shoulders do not come. Now, the only thing that I'll say is yes, there is this uptrend here. There's the shoulder, there's the head. But look at this shoulder retest. That's not the type of price action that I usually want to see, but you do end up giving a good rejection here. But that Head and Shoulders is it thus already played out, right? So it's from that Head and Shoulders, right? It's already pretty much moved the same length, right, as the Head and Shoulders itself. So if we take this, right, look, so right here from that bottom break, you've pretty much retraced all the way down, right? And there's definitely further downside, but you've pretty much moved the entire length of that Head and Shoulders. So you're retesting it, and you're also retesting what appears to be a deviation downtrend. So I like this chart right here for any break to the upside. Of course, that's when we could possibly look for Netflix to move up into. I would go ahead and speculate the 120 mark. So right. Head and Shoulders do not come from downtrends, though. That is fundamental. And in fact, I will show you why we don't do Head and Shoulders at the bottom, right? Let's see, where is Amazon's? I forget where it's at. Yeah, I think it was right here. It was right here. So coming from this downtrend, right? I had a lot of people point out that this Amazon, they were like, this looks like a Head and Shoulders, right? Got a shoulder there, you got that head there, and you had a shoulder here. And you saw a lot of selling pressure, really, really strong step up around, of course, earnings. And of course, they squeezed the shit out of everybody and they ended up moving it back up into the highs. So I am very careful about acknowledging any Head and Shoulders. Here's a Head and Shoulders, right? Nice Head and Shoulders up at the highs. Here's a nice, perfect little, probably an hourly Head and Shoulders, right? But because it's up at resistance, ends up giving us a nice move or retracement of, oops, nice retracement of the Head and Shoulders itself. It's coming a little motherfucker. So from the bottom right here, we see that when it drops, take a look at that, right? The first place you retest is right there at basically the same distance. So just math there, just simple math. If you do well on Cash App, ugh, good luck. Cash App's going to be rough if you're trying to make money on that. TCRT, Alunos Therapeutics. Haven't you? I think you told me about this one before. Yeah, you did because we charted it all the way down here. Good God. Well, nice gains. So here's the we're gonna stick with what works, right? Body candle closes. That's 330, right? We see above us. Body candle closes right there. That's 351. Let's see if we can find a trend change. There's trend. One second. Let me move that down. No, we're going to keep that right there. So that's 334 and 330 directly below you. Looks like this is your zone. So I would say, obviously, goal here is to hold your trend. You got a nice confluence with the 50-day EMA sitting there. Probably the same move that you made to the upside, so around 360. That's where I'd be looking for a move up into that 375 and hopefully a new high. Another thing to acknowledge here is from that high, you do have a downtrend right there where you do see it bump and bump and bump. So I would speculate that 365 could end up being a retest level just directly above that. So next one is SQ. So I was a little bit, I remember this call out. Uh, damn, man, if anybody followed this analysis, when these zones, it's not me, it's just math, right? So let's really take a look at this. This is really actually looks great. Now we got to see where we open, but take a look at this, right? So you have this little area right here that you've already tried to go and push up into. You gapped up, right, on square. You've pushed up into this, which, by the way, apparently, according to some people on this app, if that is an imbalance or an expansion zone, you gap up, you will break out like immediately, like from that candle or from that day, which is just heinous. But the important thing is that we did gap up, right? And we did close all of our candles at 77.44. And that is the floor below us, right? This area down below us. So what we would want to do is avoid closing an hourly candle anywhere below. And if we gap down on square, we would want to do the same exact thing, is push up and out of the 75.50 level and into this basically 75.90 and $76. And from there, you have a nice gap to the upside. One thing that we do have to acknowledge is that, which is broken. So what I like to do, again, because there is no real resistance here, the only thing that I can go off of as far as trend is concerned, right, is again, math. Math right there. So we want to go with some math here. Well, would you look at that? Just look at it. So, well, look at the wick right there. Perfect little move up. So if this is a downtrend for SQ, of course, this trend can break. Just because it's there doesn't mean it's has to hold. But if you were to pull back, the pullback would be pretty lit. I'd say you probably see a nice pullback into A72, which definitively I would say below 72.60, you're probably going to see a nice pullback to about 71 bucks. If you do not bounce, which of course SQ does have the potential at this point, right, for a inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, and then potential shoulder. So if we dipped back down for a nice red day or red finish, then I would look at SQ to go long into more than likely this gap. So it would look good up to that. I think that gap closes at 86 bucks. So SQ looks good. Just set an alert on the parallel channel and set an alert there. We'll sell at $50. All right, Reed. Oh shit. If you didn't miss anything, if you go to the YouTube channel, link is in my bio. Oh shit. All right. So SQ, Johnny, I'm not gonna chart you. Oh, never mind. So I already boxed this one out for everybody today. I forget who I did it for, but AMD. It's like candles closing. So there's your range. Okay. Gap fill here. Nice upside gap fill. Downside, you get a bounce. So watch a move up to above 85 bucks. Watch for a move up into that 85.50, right? And then from there, from that 85.50, a close above 85.75, excuse me. Hourly candle close, 15-minute candle close would be good. I would actually not speculate. I would be pretty sure that you're going to see a move into the $87 mark, if not even higher. But of course, we do and have to acknowledge that chip stocks in general have a lot of bearish flow right now, especially with the news on the regulations being put and the exposure that these chip stocks have to Chinese stocks. So I would speculate that we're going to see a push up into 86.50. That would be my mark there. If you are bearish, that would be my mark. That would be where I would be looking for AMD. And let me go take a look. It's so even more now. Yeah, 120% if you end up seeing a rejection up there at that top. Take a look at that. That's after hours. So maybe one more pop. And again, I would say 86.50 and watch for a rejection there. And then possibly looking at the daily. So above $88, AMD is probably going to recover. But otherwise, if you end up making a new low, looks like you bounced off of 78. The low below that is 75 or 74.76 and 72.80. So watch for a pullback here. So take a look at this area, and that's going to be basically the map for where you're at currently. And mind you, right, if I was going to target AMD's gap with some long contracts, because remember, AMD's got a fat gap right at $73 and going into $68. I'm actually going to write that down because AMD's looking listen, don't spam the chat or I'm not going to take your request. All right, so I'm just going to write this down. I use TradeStation. That yeah, I mean whether or not I feel like that gap gets filled no matter what. But let's also cover the trend. So I can already tell that there is a you can see downtrend right here, so I can map that off of that, right? And that's looks like that's going up all the way into those highs right here. So one of two things here. So descending triangle, retest on AMD, back up to 91.30, possibly even flirting with this trend line at 93.20. That's where I would speculate you would see a rejection. If you do see a rejection, that's where I would look to go short. So I I kind of really like the idea of shorting AMD at some point. Um, I really like the idea of shorting AMD. AMD short, and I like that target. I'll talk to you guys about that tomorrow. I do chart with extended hours on, yes. Yeah, so this stands. So I don't know if we're going to end up falling up and out of this. Remember, if AMD retraces back down, remember this, if AMD retraces back down to the gap of 82.80, we always have the opportunity to set up a channel. All right. So we could fall and we could 100%, maybe around 82 bucks, see a bounce and a move back up for AMD to help go and retest those levels that we talked about. But that's just what I got for right now on AMD. But all right, winding down here a little bit. I feel like I've charted the whole world. TQQ. Let me get rid of all this. I've been charting this one, and trading these charts like to bundle themselves together. And if you switch from after hours, oh God help you. All right, so TQQ. Yeah, so I'm gonna use, and this one ended up breaking out of my wedge. I think we talked about this. We talked about the wedge breakout, right, on TQQ that ended up breaking trend down here. One second. Yeah, that looks really good. So breaking trend on TQQ. This one's still, and of course, that was and didn't end up breaking out fully. It did give us the retest of the levels that we were looking for. I had TQQ up to $40. It hit 39.50 before pulling back here a little bit. Now, this is where I'm going to go ahead and trend out, right? So I'm not worried about that trend anymore. I'm going to focus in on this lower time frame. So this is TQQ. And I already spotted this from the highs. So it looks like TQQ, right? And this is just checking here. I want to double check. I don't like that bottom trend at all, so I'm not going to stretch things where they don't need to be stretched. But TQQ does or has broken its downtrend. So this is where I break things down even further to try and basically set myself up for the next leg up of where things could end up going once certain levels are broken. So right here, I've got 31.22 and 31.41. I'd like to see a candle open up above that on the 4-hour. And that would probably signify a potential move back up to, and this is a solid, I don't know what the fuck I just did. Oops. This is a solid level. Oh shit, hold on. Damn. Fucking spooked myself. So take a look at this. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so right above us, take a look at that. That is a nice ceiling. That is 32. We're gonna call it 32.30. So 32.30 to the upside. If a candle closes above 31.40, I would suspect you would move through that imbalance and into that 32.20. There is massive, and there is gaps to the downside as well. So TQQ could end up seeing a retest there. But there's, again, remember those gaps to the downside that ultimately all gaps get filled. So couldn't it reclaim the trend line? Do I think CPI is bullish tomorrow? I'll tell you what, I'm going to break off really quick. I'm going to talk about Meta. I want to show you guys something on Meta. Take a look at this chart. Just peer into the abyss with me. This is absolutely insane because the movement that we're going to get off of Meta, I'm ready for it. And I don't give a shit where it goes. You guys know me. I don't care. As long as we can make some loot, that's what I'm here to do. So for Meta, I want you guys to and we're gonna I got a lot of stuff on here because we were breaking this down. Not a single candle closed above 169, really above 170, right? But really, we did not see a single candle close above 169. Okay. Now let's zoom down even further. Let me narrate this in the best way that I can. Can Meta go short? Yes, Meta could end up pulling back, and we have great levels to do so. We really do. We have great, solid levels right here. We see that the pivot point 167.25, right? We see that's the floor. We also like to make sure that we know where those candles are closing. Every single one of these candles closes, even though it wicks down, but closes at one. So 167 or basically 168. So a candle open below 169.90 or 165.95 would be an area in which I would be looking to take Tesla down. And that's just a starter, but I would obviously need to see a break. And then from there, we've got a couple of solid levels on Meta. The first one's going to be 166. And we know this level from trading it previously. We can see huge bounces, huge candle closes, basically all across the board. It's 166. So that's the first area that I would be looking for Meta to pull back. But let me narrate something to you really quickly. So if CPI ends up coming in maybe just less, not as great as expected, and they just move the market down, right? And they move it down to like that 166 mark. I am fairly certain that it would be in their interest to one, we've got quad witching, either break that into or excuse me, let's narrate it this way. More or less, all of this pullback that you saw today, I saw a ton of selling pressure into Meta. So if Meta ends up pushing up off of whatever gap down it has, it pushes up, it's going to squeeze. And that is where I'm going to go ahead and try and take this 175 contract, probably for next week. And then scalping underneath with those daily contracts, because I do believe that we'll see a Meta make a nice solid move. I've 172.30. So 172 is going to be 172.30, excuse me, is going to be the mark that I'm going to be looking for Meta to move to the upside. So just think about this as a coil. Meta is coiled up and all of this short energy, right? So tomorrow, this is going to be an area of extreme importance for me, right? Long, short, right? If we gap down to 166, I'm long, right? Up into this gap. From there, we can, obviously take a look at it as it sets up. And then just speculatively, right? I did see the potential for new lows here, right? And a rejection. So watch for Meta to gap down. And I know it sounds crazy, but to either A, 169, or B, pull back if we open up underneath 166. I would speculate that we're going to see a pullback to 165 before bouncing and retracing back up. So if you guys have any questions in the future, there's 115 of you guys. I am on YouTube. That is where I take most, if not all, of the requests because they are in chronological order. So if you guys are trying to ask questions or anything like that, that really helps me out. If you guys would hop over there, the link is in the bio. It's Simple Stacks Investments. So Bill Beasy, I will keep Sava on watch. I actually played that when it originally started flying to the upside. So, all right. So the next one that we got is Snapchat. Now this is actually got the potential to. I think we talked to somebody about this, but it's got the potential to end up giving you one of those squeezes. This one did end up falling out of that trend. Looks like their new trend. This is looks just like Meta. Looks like everything else, but right here, there's your ceiling above you. Let's go to the daily. Look at that. You guys see it right there? Not a single candle closing. Let's move this up. Where do these candles close? This line is thick. So, yep, perfect. So here's the deal. If you want to be bullish, you got to gap up or you got to move up into the 1990 or $13 level for Snapchat. Snapchat has a tremendous amount of gaps and definitely has the potential to give you a strong move in either direction. I will note that it does have a downtrend here, right? You get 3 off of that. Uptrend, don't even ask because I don't even see one. And I don't even know if it has one. But if I was a betting man, which I think I might qualify as one, I would say that Meta or Snapchat, if it ends up seeing a pullback and you see a pull underneath that pivot point, we could see Snapchat making new lows at 1770. But that's all I got right now for Snapchat. And then again, to the upside, it doesn't really matter about those trend. All that really matters is where those candles close. And again, you would just need to make sure that you close in that level, and ultimately you would probably want to make a trip up into the 1440 level for Snapchat. This is easy money right here for at least levels are concerned. So CPI is 830. If you guys are in the Discord, I think I have 3 spots left for the trial right now. And again, you just have to save your key. You can manage your membership on Ternary. There's a place in the Discord to find that out. But I will be live early in there if you guys want to check that out. And again, if you're a new trader, it's not to be mean. We want you to stay and not pay anything. Stay on the outside, continue to ask questions, utilize the Discord for what it's meant for, which is to learn and go from there. So, let's see. I'm actually going to do something here on Snapchat. I'm going to set an alert on that trend line, and I'm just going to see if it ever goes off. And then I'm going to set an alert at the pivot point at 1107. Let's take a look at SPY. So I've talked about this already. This is, man, I tell you what. I tell you what. Let's Yep, so that broke, right? Little downtrend there. But what is more important? We got a couple of key levels on SPY. Nice candle closes here. That is 115. That is my 200-day moving average. All right. That is essential. It is essential to see a move into there. So moving a candle close is going to bring you to the median, and that is where SPY closed today. So hold on one second because we need to make sure that this is perfect. There it is. All right, let's zoom in. So take a look at this. Bounce, bounce, candle close, gap up, 50%, right? 50% of that zone. Here's your ceiling. It's where you get sellers pushing off of. They get squeezed out, reposition, big fat short all the way through there. So right now, the 411.70 or 411.75 close that actually I've talked about that level before. I would speculate that if you gap up tomorrow, that you should see I would say that you should see a move up into the top. So it would only make sense to see 515. From 515, we'll speculate when it gets there. But if you gap down inside of this candle, there is a solid chance to gap fill tomorrow and bounce off of 406.60 or 406.68. SPY 420 tomorrow. Y'all are bongers. You'll be just naming off targets, I swear. How about one step at a time? Do you know how big that candle would be? I mean, I get it, but you've already moved through a massive imbalance. This was the imbalance. You've already moved through that into a new zone. So it's not going to be easy. You got CPI. CPI could, uh, it could actually drive some lack of volatility into the market if it's lackluster, and then they may just wait for new data points. So, yes, I will be live tomorrow morning. Um, Um, yeah, just let me, it should be up. Yeah, simplesexinvestment.com. Just scroll down at the bottom, and that's where you'll find it. The link is in my bio. Or if you're on Discord, it should be in the link in my Discord bio. Um, okay, so that was a Discord message. So didn't want to play anything overnight, SPY because of CPI. That's fine. Yeah, that makes sense. Better stay in cash when you feel nervous. You carry that energy into the market. So really, SPY has some pretty straightforward setups right now. Again, further upside. There's a gap to fill at 422 that could end up getting filled, as well as 426.72, where we see a ceiling here at 429.80. Which, what if that makes the world's nastiest bear flag? You know what I mean? Like, what if this is what nobody sees, and it just rips up into four. Just what ifing. Damn, that kind of looks valid though, huh? Not really. Nah. All right. Anyway. All right, next one that we got is on semiconductor. So this one, okay, so here's the deal with ON, and of course semiconductors have been taking a hit. On it should, and so we're gonna go back here, right? And we're gonna slap this down at 65. So take a look at that, right? That is a first ceiling rejection point, or the floor of that rejection point, and that is where we bounced off of. So that is essentially basic. That is where I would look at on to potentially pull back if you were to move down. But that would take a candle close underneath 69.50 to the upside. You have a little bit of, or have some pretty heavy selling pressure on the daily. The weekly still bulled up. So you're still sitting with a bull flag here on ON. So right now, again, just holding that candle underneath or where you're at, I would say $69 would be the cap for a pullback here. But daily time frame, you definitely could use with a pickup and a move above the 73.60 and into the highs. So I would say $80, or excuse me, 77.80, and then $85 would probably be the next target here. So the next one is Mullen. Oh my God. This stock seems like a like just a big stressful. And this is where I just tell people, don't even worry about charting it. There's no point. There's no point in charting this. How could you ever pull anything? I think I charted this before. Yeah, so we'll do this because really there's nothing else I can possibly do. So that's what I see right there for Mullen. Perhaps it is going. I that's really all I got. Um, it looks like the biggest moves that you make are above $5.68. Um, but right now it's dead, and there's no. You got some volume over the last couple of weeks. I don't know what that is about. Possibly heavy accumulation. So I would maybe go look at the daily here. Oops. So it looks like right now you're in a. And come on. I really don't like that, but it does look like you have a bit of a wedge and a little bit of a yeah, a little bit of a falling wedge there. So even a 50% retracement might bring you back up to $1, maybe. But that's really all I got, man. Mullins, well, this is a mess, absolute mess of a stock. One thing that's also notable here is the candle closes there. So this would be the area of the most concern right now. Is 95 cents at the top. All right, guys. I'm gonna do a few more, and then gonna go ahead and log out for the night. And we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at these stocks tomorrow morning. So Apple has just hit its downtrend. I actually saw a lot of Apple puts come in today. Uh, this one's got a floor that could end up extending here, but looks like it's got what the beginning of a channel. I'm actually going to do this. So again, you're up against resistance on Apple, like flat up against it. There you go. There you go. That is perfect. So this is likely if Apple ends up seeing a retracement of 50% of the previous day's gains, which would be 161.50. So if you gap down, or excuse me, if you pull back and you start pushing below that mark, I would speculate that a gap fill and just a little bit more, maybe 160, 156.75 would be highly likely. Um, I did see a heavy amount of puts come in today. The next ceiling above you is really simple, right? And it's right here. We can see a ton of price action respecting the 166.50 level. And we can also see that this right here would be, again, just like the other stock, would be the area of concern for reversing and moving to the upside to go and fill this gap at 171.50. So Apple through that zone, that's money. Apple below, right? More than, and we can go down to the hourly. Okay, so take a look at this. Where do you think that's at? Look, Apple, 50% of the previous day's gains, 162.11, right? About right there around that 50% mark. That is a key level to watch. If you lose it, 160.22, and that's where I would look for Apple to give you the biggest response as far as a bounce or anything like that. So charge point. So Neo actually ripped today. I was up 150% on this one. So so not quite, but okay. So that is valid. I just had to go and double check myself. Okay, so we got that. Is that trend? That's not trend. That's a broken trend. This is our most recent swing high. So I'm going to bring it down from my swing high and look for a confluence here. I find one at 18, basically 1895. So if there's any setup here for charge point, I would imagine that a break above 19 bucks and really a close above 19. Let me double check that. Oh my God. So you actually have a freaking crazy level right here. Absolutely bonkers as far as price action is concerned. So take a look at that. So right there, that's if you do end up moving to the upside, $20 is going to be one hell of a ceiling for you. So right now the movement seems pretty good. Nice volume coming in after earnings. So I would say above that $19 mark and really above $20. That's where you could see charge point really start to make a move. And this is also coming with charge point breaking, if I'm not mistaken, a very long downtrend finally. So it could be a good long possibly. So nice little wedge there. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a channel, but that I don't think that's going to happen. Okay. I've already done AMD. It's on YouTube. Do you think Oracle will, where do I think Oracle will open? So that's funny that you ask. Right now, I bought, and I made sure that I bought September 30th contracts. I'm looking at Oracle to, and again, this one, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it basically went and slapped its downtrend. Or excuse, yeah, it's downtrend, so it's right up against downtrend. I would expect it to open up possibly above 77.40 and anywhere above this 79.75 and into $80. I would speculate that this is an inverse head and shoulders for Oracle, possibly, and we could see a move to the upside from there. But it's also worth acknowledging that that is there. So, like a lot of stocks, they're all bundled up, and so you could see an immediate reversal before making your way up and out. So, but I would say a candle close above $80 would be pretty significant for Oracle. So, I've done QQQ. It's on YouTube as well. Yes. So um, Baba. All right, so that's what separates Baba from the rest of the world. That is a ceiling above it. Man, that recess be calming my ass down. At a drink that I had. 95.18 for Baba. It came already at it already retraced 50% of that falling wedge. So right now you've got a clear level below you, right? So Baba anywhere below the median, which the median looks like it's at 91.60, 91.85. So below candle close below that median, obviously paying attention to where those candles close on the hourly, that would be a sign for a pullback. And at that point, I would probably short the living dog crap out of Baba. But to the upside, from our swing high, and this is, again, this is our swing right here into July, pulling it down. There's still a possibility, and I believe not only that, but Baba has settled and bounced off of its bottom trend. So there's a good possibility that we could see Baba back up into, excuse me, 101.50 would be the mark that I would be looking for Baba to move and squeeze up into. If by chance, China just we just become best friends and everything's fine and the world is happy and joyful, then Baba squeezes like nobody's business, and we're probably going to see a Baba around 125. So MDB. Didn't I chart this one yesterday? I did. And yeah, there you go. Perfect. Look at I haven't touched the chart from last night, and take a look at where all of this price action, right? So right there we see little adjustment, candles closing, everyone closes at 268, which is that floor across the board. And you ended up closing a candle in there around the 75% mark of the zone, right? So that's about 75%. So the next leg up would be a candle open, right? So if you gap up, retest, I'd be looking for a bounce up and a move into the 289 mark. How can I learn from you? Discord is a good way. I'm live mostly all the time in there. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and close out with Sava for the night. Join me. Feel free, guys. Oh shit. Oh fuck. All right. Anyway, sorry. So Sava, uh, apparently I've charted this one as well. Okay. Very, very good. Now, good shit. So take a look at where you bounced off of, right? That is right where excuse me. That is right where I'd like to see Sava hold if you're going to continue moving to the upside. Seems like a solid trend to the upside there. Pay attention to these candle closes below you. 1 second. So stay out of the candle close below 3080 and hold up your 3232. And Sava definitely looks good. I might actually end up this actually looks like a pretty attractive trade. And I do know that if there's any stock that might end up moving that I would take a trade on is trusty old Sava, which I've traded multiple times before. Let's see what we got. Are we channeling? Nope, no channel. Just a flat bottom. So I think the goal here for Sava is to get into and hold above $38, and you can definitely start to see a Sava squeeze. So all right, sorry about that. Okay. If CPI comes in showing that inflation is decreasing, that could mean a less aggressive Fed, and therefore the market might end up going up. Contrary to or obviously with the opposite being, inflation not slowing, and then we see a more hawkish Fed. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and close the night now. I'm pretty tired, but I hope you guys have a great night. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Peace out.